Hey guys, my name is Haileigh Grinkmeyer. I'm here with my dad, how to be a stock market investor, Trent Grinkmeyer, and yeah.
Yeah, so I just want to share before we get into the video, this is purely educational. None of this is advice. This is my opinion and her opinion. Do your due diligence before you invest in anything, and have a great day.
Hey guys, my name is Haileigh Grinkmeyer. I am going to be the guest interviewer of how to be a stock market investor with Trent Grinkmeyer. So, just to get a kind of idea on myself, I am a soon-to-be graduate next week from SCAD, and I have just a few questions and, you know, how as a young 21-year-old I can invest my money, you know, some tips and advice on from a young perspective, you know, what you kind of did as a young person, and mistakes that, you know, I could potentially avoid, and also just life advice. You know, I'm embarking on this big part of my life. I'm never doing school again kind of thing. And yeah, so I'm just gonna ask you a few questions on like advice that you might have.
That sounds great.
Okay, so let's start it off. What is something, you know, just something easy. What is something you wish somebody had told you when you graduated college and you kind of started to get started in your career? You know?
Yeah, so I think the biggest thing I wish somebody had told me is that when Discover credit card sends you an application and says you've been approved for $1,000.
Which sounds like a lot as a 21-year-old.
And you're out and you have no job yet and you need money and you're like, oh my gosh, I'm an adult now, I'm gonna take this credit card. Don't take it.
Okay.
Don't take it, because you get under this weight where you go and you use it, and maybe you use it for emergencies, which then turns into, well, I'll just buy my friend some drinks at the bar. And you rack it up.
An emotional emergency.
Exactly, it's an emotional liquid emergency, right? And I would say, don't take a credit card. Just don't take them.
Okay.
If somebody had told me that early on, that'd be a game changer. Yeah.
How would you say, and I don't know, like if you had any debt coming out of school, how would you say, like take the approach of investing and saving your money as a young person? That way, you know, retirement isn't a set age, but it's kind of like a mindset.
Right.
But then also taking into account coming out with student loans. Because, you know, as many young Americans coming out of college, we all have student loans to some degree.
Right. So I believe the reality is the student loan thing, depending on how heavy and big that loan is, it can rule your life forever. Into your 50s, 60 years old if you don't take care of it in time. So when it comes to the student loans, what I would say is that is one of your first initiatives, is to pay that down. Okay? I would look at my income as, you know, from a 100% point of view. You take 30% of your income and you pound it towards your student loans. You take 20% and you save it, and you take the other 50%, and that is your living expenses. If you can't live on that 50%, then you need to move somewhere where you can. You need to get a couple roommates. Whatever.
And part of that living expense is having fun, correct?
Having fun, Which you may go, wait a second, I just got a job and it's paying me $36,000 a year minus taxes. You're probably making 33. Let's round it down to 30. Well, all of a sudden it's not a lot, and this is where you get in the idea of, well, the student loan payments are only like $100 a month. Well, just think of that $100 a month for 50 years.
That's a lot.
Or 30 years. What I would say is suck it up now. Get a bunch of roommates, live cheap, drink cheap beer, and eat beans and rice. Pay the student loans off, because all of a sudden, that frees up 30% of your income. Now you can start putting it more towards investing, more towards, you know, growing your wealth, growing your life. That's how I'd approach it.
Okay, so, you know, again, from a young person's perspective, I've been in school for the past many years of my life,
Right.
Studying my degree, and I kind of know nothing about finances. I mean, they never really taught us that kind of thing in school. I mean, you know. And so if I want to get into investing, what is probably the most user-friendly approach to that? Somebody who knows nothing, gets kind of overwhelmed with the whole numbers thing,
Yeah.
doesn't want to lose a ton of their money. What is a platform that I could go to that you
Right.
maybe suggest, or like how should I approach this?
So to me, investing is a very multi-dynamic situation. Number one, you build a cash reserve because you will have emergencies. Your
Yeah.
car will break down.
Yeah.
Your AC unit will go on the fritz, and you'll have to come up with that money. So with that, if you're single, save 6 months worth of income needs or expense needs.
Okay.
Okay, there's a good chance you may lose your job at some point,
Yeah.
or in your case, you have your own little bit, business, and you may lose a client.
Yeah.
So you want to have that cushion. So 6
Totally.
months worth of income needs or expense needs is what I would build up to, and it'll take a while. It may take 18 months to get to that point. If you're 2-income household, 3 months worth of expenses, because one of you loses your job or gets incapacitated to not be able to work. It happens. The other one's still got a job. Okay, so that's where I would start. Then I would look at, okay, I'm going to start putting money into, maybe you have a company 401k, maybe you have or you're like yourself, where you'll start your own simple IRA or simple 401k plan. What I would say is, what's going to save you in the long run is diversification. I'm not a believer in the buy and hold or buy and die. What I believe is, if you're going to get serious about investing, you put some time in and gain some knowledge and build a process, or you find an advisor who can help you and manage that for you, but also thinks a little outside the box, because a lot of them just put your money in and don't talk to you.
Yeah.
You want somebody who's there to support you. So when you're looking for a financial advisor, I would say interview a bunch of them, and number one question you need to ask is, how do you get paid? And if they don't give you a straight answer, walk out the door.
Okay. Okay.
But with that said, how do you build a portfolio? If you're putting $50 away into a retirement plan or just investment plan, what I would say is start with the index approach. So buying index funds like the S&P 500, the NASDAQ 100, the Lehman's Aggregate Bond Index, and you could create a diversified portfolio. But I would encourage you to learn about the process of investing, because investing is like seasons. You have summer, fall, winter, and spring. It's the same way with investing. It's a full cycle. And depending on what season you're in the investment world, things do well versus some things don't do well. So I would encourage everybody who wants to do it on their own to spend some time understanding the big picture and bringing it down to what does well, and then invest in those areas and be ready to make some changes. Buying and holding is change.
Okay.
But if you're not that person, seek out a good financial advisor who is willing to grow with you in the future, who you understand how they get paid, and who isn't just doing what my grandfather did. 50-year-old information. 50. Because the world is greatly changed. Exactly. I would encourage you to find that person.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, so I know like a big thing right now, especially with my generation, maybe a little older, is buying old homes and flipping them.
Yeah.
How would you say that this is something too risky? How would I get involved? Because I mean, that's something that I am kind of interested in doing potentially. I think the idea of either having Airbnbs or buying and flipping them and then selling them is something that I want to get into. How would you kind of say a 21-year-old makes probably $50 a year?
Yeah.
How do I get into that?
Well, it's no different than just investing in stocks or bonds. Number one, diversifying your portfolio.
Yeah.
Okay. So having that cash reserve having a good financial structure to your personal life. And then if you go out and decide, I'm going to buy a house, I'm going to buy it and flip it, do some research. And what I mean by research is, where are we at in that season of cycles? So right now, was it May of 2021? If you look at housing prices right now,
oh, they're so high.
They're so high.
I hear about people who like wait in line, and it's like an auction where you can go and potentially buy a house.
Exactly. And people are buying them.
Yeah.
But what they have to realize is, you're buying at the top of the cycle.
Yeah.
Okay? That's like if you had bought a house in 2006, 2007, you'd start losing money. In 2008, you got wiped out.
Yeah.
So if you're going to invest into real estate, understand the cycles of real estate. When you want to buy, typically the best time to buy is when interest rates are high and there are more sellers than buyers, because you can get a real good deal.
Yeah.
Which is totally opposite of what they're telling you now, because interest rates are real low, but prices are real high.
I've heard it's a very much so a seller's market right now. Anybody who decides to put their house on the market, they can, name their price.
Exactly. So what I would say is, learn that type of real estate. Also understand, diversify. Once you start building a real estate portfolio, diversify amongst it. Maybe it's some of them you flip, some of them you rent, that kind of thing. If you decide to rent real estate, just accept.
Stuff is going to get messed up.
Humans will do terrible things to property they don't own.
Yeah.
So they will pour cement down your toilets, they will flood your second floor and drop the roof out of your first floor, like our house in Birmingham. They will say they're the most greatest human being on the planet. And they'll drill holes in all of your hardwood floors and run cable TVs in every one. And when they leave gaping holes. If you're willing to accept that, real estate's a great place to go. Okay.
So accept that you're going to lose in some areas.
Exactly. You're going to feel pain.
Yes, pain.
Yes.
Okay, so something that I've heard actually a lot of influencers talk about on Instagram, because Instagram and TikTok is kind of like my platforms of choice that I like to scroll through. People that I wouldn't expect to be into this kind of thing, they're like travel bloggers, they're fashion bloggers, are starting to talk about cryptocurrency. I kind of have no idea what this is. I know that there's like a conversion of it. It's going to be another form of people to pay people. Like, I heard somebody tell them, a friend that I know that sells homes, they bidded on a house in Bitcoin. Yeah. And okay, how do you approach that? What is it in a nutshell? Yeah. On dumbed down terms a little bit. Right. Should I start investing? So
Bitcoin came about because a white paper was written by some Japanese person. Nobody knows who this person was. But in the white paper, it's basically 25 pages long. It outlines a decentralization of finance in the world. In other words, taking the control of finance out of the central banks of the world. Right. Big picture, right?
Right.
So they're going to replace the US dollar, and Bitcoin is going to become the currency.
That's what I've heard.
Nice idea. We're not there yet. Yeah. But
the fact that this is created is probably
it's been created, and what is being created is the underlying technology that the paper scripted. And that is blockchain technology. Okay. And what it does, it creates a more secure way of transacting, of building things. You've heard of cloud computing, where everything is in the cloud? Yeah. This takes it to a whole nother level. Yeah. So if I'm investing in crypto and starting out, I would, number one, I would spend 30 days watching crypto videos. Okay. Not the ones who are like, it's to the moon and this, that, and the other, but ones that explain what it is. Okay. Explain the nuances of it. Okay. Get knowledgeable before you start throwing money at it. Yeah. Number two, we are in the second inning of a 9-inning ball game with crypto. You will see violent moves that will freak you out. Yeah. We saw that this week, where we saw Bitcoin everything drop like 40%. Ethereum, I think, dropped 40% in a matter of hours. If you have 100% of your money in there, you just lost your,
Yeah.
But if you diversify your portfolio amongst crypto, amongst stocks, amongst bonds when it's warrants it,
Okay.
Amongst your business is a part of your wealth portfolio, right? And you're not putting all your eggs in one basket.
Yeah.
And you're willing to do a little work and do your homework and understand what this is. I think it can be a great investment.
Okay.
That's my opinion. It's not advice.
Oh, yeah,
Take
no.
it for what it is. It's pure education.
Yeah,
But
yeah.
my biggest thing is educate yourself on what you're about to embark
Yeah,
on.
yeah, totally. Yeah, because you never know. Like, you don't want to to put it in like house terms. You don't want to see a really gorgeous house, but then you get in there and you realize that all the piping is messed up.
Yeah.
And so understanding who built it, when it was built, knowing the materials, just everything.
Right.
It's same kind of thing. You
It's the
gotta
same
know
thing.
how to do it, what it is, the volatility of it.
Yeah. It's
Makes
like
sense.
it's like your business when you came and spoke to me about Pinterest, and you shared with me the mechanics of Pinterest,
Yeah.
and the plumbing of Pinterest, and
Yeah.
how it's good for business.
Yeah.
It was like, oh wow.
Yeah.
It's much more than pretty pictures that people
Yeah.
love and pin on the boards, right?
Yeah, it's huge.
It's
yeah.
huge. It's the same way.
Okay.
And I think if every college student will come out of school and understand you just started your education
Yeah.
the day you graduated.
Yeah.
And
Now this is the education of life.
This is educational life, and you take your time and you learn.
Okay.
To me, that's how you grow, that's how you expand, that's how companies come out of thin air. How one guy moves from Chicago to Washington and starts selling books online. Now he's the richest man in the world.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
It's because he understood, he saw a need, and he did his education. So always educate. Take a time every day to do some education on something you're into.
Cool.
Yeah.
Cool.
Cool.
Is there any other little bits of advice you can offer?
Be optimistic. You're gonna have bad days.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
just at the end of the day, I have this saying, life will happen when it wants to happen. So in the meantime, just chill.
Everything happens for a reason.
Exactly. Don't worry. Don't chase the target. Let the target come to you.
Cool.
Yeah.
Cool.
So
Well, it was great talking with you.
it's good talking with you.
If you want more content like this, feel free to comment, and subscribe.
Yeah.
Let us know let him know if you have any other questions about this, because maybe that's potentially anher video you could create.
And check out Haileigh's
YouTube channel.
What is your channel?
It is by Haileigh. We'll have it linked below. That
Yep.
way you can just click and go check it out.
There you go.
Cool.
Cool.
Thank
All
you
right.
guys.
Thanks.
Bye.